Exposed. The heartwarming truth behind my 15K wedding gift that transformed my sister's big day. In a town that felt like a cozy blanket, not too big, not too small, Sarah's heart sank every time she thought about her sister's wedding. Jessica's dream was a fairy tale, complete with lush flowers and shimmering lights, all imagined under the glamorous auspices of her fiancé's wealthy family. Meanwhile, Sarah, a 28-year-old waitress at the Maplewood Diner, struggled to keep her family's financial boat afloat. "How can I make this right?" she whispered to herself as the soft hum of coffee machines blended with the smell of fresh pie filled the air. She could feel the weight of her father's sacrifices as a veteran, his quiet pride overshadowed by the tension in their home. As the day neared, the inadequacy gnawed at her, a constant reminder of her modest paycheck and the ever-looming comparisons that left her feeling small. But a fire ignited in her, digging her nails into the edge of her resolve. She wouldn't allow money to overshadow her sister's joy. Not in her town. Not on her watch. With a trembling heart, Sarah typed a message that flowed with pure emotion. "Together, let us give Jessica the wedding she deserves." It took her only moments to set up a crowdfunding campaign, each word a battle against doubt, each click an act of defiance. Before she could doubt herself, she hit share and watched as, surprisingly, sparks lit up across social media. In her small town where everyone knew each other's names, the responses were like a cascade of warmth. "Count me in," shouted Marianne from the bakery. "I'll bake the cake," added old Mr. Thompson, his voice a gentle rumble in the background. Others came together, sharing stories and laughter, and suddenly, what started as a whisper turned into a chorus of love as donations flowed in. Shock turned into hope. 15,000 seemed like a mountain of possibility, each dollar a testament to the community's bond. But in the midst of this unexpected success, the air thickened with tension. At family dinner that night, unspoken grievances hovered like specters waiting to be acknowledged. "And what about what you need?" her father grunted, frustration bleeding into his voice. The table went silent, breaths caught between anticipation and fear. "Do you even care how this affects us?" The accusations boiled over, leaving Sarah reeling. Should she pour the money into her sister's fairy tale wedding, or use it to address the weight of their family's unspoken struggles? The warmth of hope now felt like a burn, cloaked in confusion and anxiety. As the tension erupted into raw feelings, Sarah felt paralyzed at the crossroads. Could money really create cherished memories? Or was it the love binding them that mattered most? Just then a knock echoed from the door, making her heart race and leaving her to wonder if at that moment, everything she fought for was about to slip away. As she stood on the brink, her heart hammering against her ribcage, Sarah was left with one haunting question. What did true loyalty to her family mean, and could she navigate the storm brewing within? The bittersweet taste of love and obligation hung in the air, and she feared the shadows of misunderstanding were lurking, ready to pull them apart forever. The knock came again, echoing louder this time, snapping Sarah out of her swirling thoughts. Panic shot through her as she exchanged glances with her parents. Her heart raced with fear and anticipation. Who could it be? Was it someone with good news? Or were they about to be hit with another wave of disappointment? "Sarah, can you get that?" her mom asked, her voice laced with a cautious hope. The focus shifted as Sarah rose from her chair, unsure of what awaited her behind the door. She opened it slowly, revealing Jessie, her sister, radiant in a soft pastel dress, her bouquet of wildflowers cradled carefully in her arms. The world outside was alive, the sun dipping low and painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, but all Sarah could focus on was the look on Jessica's face. "Sarah, you won't believe the news," Jessica said, her voice bright as sunlight. The bridal joy was almost infectious, lighting up even the dimmest corners of Sarah's heart. But then, memories of their earlier conversation weighed heavily on her mind. Would this happiness bring more strife to the family? "What's going on?" Sarah managed, a knot of anticipation growing in her stomach. Mom and Dad. Jessica hesitated, her excitement faltering for a brief moment. "They're totally on board with the wedding planning now. They love the ideas I've been sharing about the decorations, and wait until you see the venue." For a moment joy surged through Sarah, pushing against the doubts that had built up inside her. She stepped aside to let Jessica into the house, the aroma of roasted chicken and buttery mashed potatoes still clinging to the air like a comforting hug. Both sisters could feel a shared moment of relief. Maybe this was what they needed. But then that nagging voice of uncertainty echoed in Sarah's mind like an unwelcome guest. What about the money? She blurted out carefully, her heart clenched tight. Jessica's smile faltered. Are you still worried about that? Jessica's brow furrowed, confusion making her look younger somehow. Sarah could see the joy wavering, and guilt speared through her. She hadn't meant to dim her sister's glow. Yet the truth had to come out. Jess, I've set up a fundraiser. The confession weighed heavily on the air, palpable like the tension of a gripping movie scene. I wanted to help you have the dream wedding. Everything just felt so out of reach. Jessica's eyes widened in surprise, the bouquet faltering in her grip. You did what? Each word tumbled out like a waterfall, a deluge of emotions. The burden of familial love, the weight of financial stability, the tightrope walk between making dreams real and facing harsh realities. The town came together for us, Jess. They believe in this, but I thought it's amazing, Jessica interjected, her voice softer now but no less fervent. But what about you? What about everything we've been through? The question hit Sarah like a brick, cracking open the old wound she had carefully bandaged. I didn't want to let you down. By trying to work out a way for me? That doesn't make sense. This is your moment too. Jessica's words lingered in the air, vibrant and full of promise. But confusion crept back in, thick and unyielding. The emotions of both sisters were now raw, laid bare in their living room. What was Jessica's dream worth? And was it worth sacrificing family needs for something so fleeting? As silence enveloped them, Sarah felt intertwining threads of love and loyalty tighten around her heart. Just then, her father's voice broke the stillness, thick and hesitant. Sarah, we need to talk. With one choice leading them into a tangled web of dilemmas, would Sarah discover what truly mattered most? The weight of their decisions loomed large as they all held their breath, waiting for the first thread to unravel. Jessica stood frozen, bouquet trembling slightly in her hands. Sarah could see the confusion flickering in her sister's eyes, and the beginnings of worry tentatively edging in. Dad, can't it wait? Sarah asked, her voice tight as she glanced back at their father. He stood in the doorway, a shadow against the fading daylight, shifting uncomfortably. There was a weight in his stance that felt burdensome, like he was carrying more than just family concerns. No, it can't, honey. His voice was gentle but firm. It's important. Important how? The question burst out of Sarah, fueled by anxiety and a desire to protect this moment for Jessica. The intensity in the room thickened, every eye now on her father, waiting for a revelation. Jessica stepped closer to Sarah, her breath hitching. Whatever it is, we can handle it, right? We always find a way. Her optimism hung in the air like a fragile balloon, full of hope but at risk of deflation with a single sharp word. Sweetheart. Her father began, his brows knit tightly together. It's about the fundraiser you set up. And the money, it's more complicated than you think. Sarah felt a lump rise in her throat. What do you mean? Nobody wants to ruin your sister's happiness. But, he hesitated, taking a step closer, his hand finding the back of his neck, a gesture that revealed his nerves. Jess can't know just yet for her sake. But there are conditions. The donations, they might come with strings attached. The words hung heavy between them, a dark cloud overshadowing the vibrant colors of hope. Sarah's heart sank. Conditions? What kind of conditions? Things can be tight and there are costs I didn't factor in. If we accept this money, it might bring more conflict at home. And I don't want you or Jessica caught in the middle. Not now. His gaze fell to the floor as if ashamed to even say it. Jessica's expression morphed from confusion to shock as each piece fell into place. Are you saying that some of these donations could come with demands? Who would do that? Her voice trembled. It's a good cause, but he started, but Jessica cut him off, her voice rising. There's always a but. She practically spat the words out, frustration boiling to the surface. Maybe I don't want to accept a charity wedding. I don't want pity, and I certainly don't want to be seen as a burden. That's not what this was about. Sarah reached for her sister's arm, trying to calm her. No one sees it that way, Jess. Everyone just wants to help. But at what cost? Jessica's eyes were bright with urgency and anger. I don't want a wedding funded by pity or expectations. This is supposed to be about love. This is about stability, Jess. their father interjected, tears welling as the interplay of desperation and love tangled in the air. You both deserve the best. Can't you see? I just want to protect you. The sound of his voice cracked like thunder, tossing the room into silence once more. Jessica's shoulders slumped, the light of excitement fading. In that moment, the sisters shared a look that said more than words ever could. An uneasy alliance built on shared dreams and fears. Would Jessica's big day, meant to unite them, end up pulling them apart? Sarah could feel the churning feelings deep in her stomach, twisting and turning like a storm waiting to break. Maybe I should just call it off. Jessica's words were like shards of ice, piercing through the air. No, Sarah shouted unexpectedly, fear washing over her as she took a step forward. Let us not do anything drastic. We can figure this out together. But as she stood there breathing heavily, Sarah realized they were just skimming the surface. Everything hung in balance like a detail forgotten in a wedding invitation. What would happen next? What truths were still waiting to be uncovered? The weight of their choices bore down, and as everyone felt the tension rise again, a singular but profound thought collided with Sarah's mind. If family was truly at stake, how far would they go to protect it? And would love be enough to keep them together? The silence broke as their mother entered the room, carefully clutching a piece of paper, her face a mixture of worry and determination. Whatever it held, it was clear that the next chapter of their story was about to unfold. The room seemed to hold its breath as their mother stepped into the light, the dim glow casting shadows across her worried features. Jessica's heartbeat quickened. She could feel the weight of anticipation as the tension barely allowed a word to escape anyone's lips. What's that, Mom? Sarah's voice cracked, uncertainty dancing in her tone. Their mother gripped the paper tightly, her fingers turning white at the edges. I need to tell you both everything. It's about the donations and about what's really happening. She inhaled deeply, her chest rising as if gathering courage. This letter came from someone who wants to remain anonymous. Jessica's brow furrowed. What kind of someone? Someone who's been affected by a similar situation. They understand the pressure of expectations, and they wanted to help. But, her voice trailed off, hesitant. But, urged Jessica, clenching her bouquet as if it could absorb the mounting tension. The money is theirs, their mother continued. It's a gift, meant to support you without strings. They simply wish to help make your dream day a reality. But they don't want you to feel indebted. Sarah's breath hitched. So, this is about charity. But it's not about pity? Exactly, their mother nodded, her eyes full of empathy. It's not funds meant to bind you an obligation, but a chance to celebrate love without reservations. Jessica blinked, slowly processing her mother's words. Hope began to unfurl like the petals of a flower. Perhaps this didn't have to be the disaster she feared. Who would do that for me? For us? Their mother smiled softly. People who believe in the joy of family and love, Jess. They understand that sometimes, it takes a community to lift each other up. Sarah felt a surge of relief wash over her, though skepticism lingered like an uninvited guest. But do we even know them? How can we be sure there are no hidden agendas? I'd hate for you to feel uncomfortable, their mother replied, a twinkle of wisdom in her eyes. But think about it. Wouldn't you rather accept help from someone who wants to uplift your joy, rather than dwindle it into conflict? Mom, I just wanted a simple wedding. One that felt real, that spoke about us and not about money or charity. Jessica's voice wavered, raw and exposed. And what defines real, sweetheart? Their mother asked gently. Is it the absence of support? Or the presence of love? The room settled into a quiet murmur, the sisters sharing a glance that contained hesitation wrapped in hope. What if this twisted knot of emotions could untangle in their favor? Every question became a thread weaving their family tighter, but it also hinted at daunting realizations they had yet to confront. As Jessica took a deep breath, the weight on her shoulders began to shift. Can I have that time to think? To really think it through without feeling pressured? Of course, their mother replied, pride gleaming in her eyes as she stepped closer. You deserve to feel fully comfortable with whatever choice you make. A flicker of gratitude ignited within Jessica. Thanks, Mom. I just want to remember this day as a celebration of love, not an obligation or turmoil. Together we'll figure it out, Sarah chimed in, her hope blooming alongside Jessica's relief. But just as light began to peek through their clouds of worry, a realization struck Sarah hard. They may have sidestepped one challenge, but what lay ahead? Were there more secrets waiting to tumble out, more tests to face? And as that silence wrapped around them, their mother spoke once more, her voice serious. You both need to be ready. There's something else about the donation, something that could change everything. Will you trust me to share it? The air thickened with anticipation. What revelation could possibly be big enough to shatter their cautious hope? Jessica and Sarah exchanged glances, their hearts pounding in sync. The atmosphere buzzed with quiet anxiety, and for a fleeting moment, time seemed to stretch, each second heavy with possibility. Their mother's expression shifted. A mixture of determination and concern etched across her features. I didn't want to bring this up until the time was right, she said, her voice steady but laced with an undercurrent of urgency. But we need to acknowledge something that could alter how you view this gift. Jessica held her breath as her mother unfolded the letter with trembling hands. The paper crackled softly as she smoothed it out, revealing lines filled with intent that seemed to leap off the page. Here, their mother read aloud, we understand the struggles that come with planning the most important day of your lives. We know that sometimes choices are made not just out of love but desperation. Her voice wavered slightly as she continued. This donation comes from people who've experienced the same tension. An electric chill rushed through Jessica. Who were these people? How did they know their story? They wish to remain unnamed, like I said. Their mother continued. But they've shared something personal, a struggle of their own that resonates with you both. They were faced with the same hopes and fears, and they want to ensure that you don't lose sight of what truly matters. Sarah's brow furrowed. What do you mean? What struggle? They lost their own daughter in a tragic accident just before her wedding, their mother said, her voice cracking under the weight of the revelation. This gift is not just about money. It's a way for them to give hope, to see love flourish in a way they never could. The room fell silent, the gravity of their mother's words wrapping around them like a thick fog. The air felt stifling, as if the walls themselves were closing in. Jessica felt something shift deep within her. An unexpected sense of connection emerged from the sorrow, an understanding that love and loss often intertwined in the most fragile moments. That is incredible, Jessica whispered, her voice breaking. Tears welled in her eyes as she thought of the generosity of strangers trying to heal through their offering. Her heart ached, a confusion of gratitude and heartbreak mingling. But what if it comes with expectations? Sarah asked, her thoughts racing. What if this is just a reminder of loss rather than a celebration? Their mother shook her head gently. Doesn't it have to be that way? This can be a legacy of love, a way to honor their daughter's memory while celebrating your own love story. Something beautiful can emerge from something tragic. Jessica's breath hitched. She imagined the couple behind the donation, their hearts heavy yet filled with hope. Could their story intertwine with hers? Would she be taking on their burden or embracing their spirit? Taking a step closer to her mother, Jessica felt a rush of emotions flood her. Mom, I need time to let this sink in, to think about what that means for us. Of course, her mother replied, her voice soft but firm. Just know this isn't a decision you have to make alone. We can do this as a family. As Jessica nodded, she felt a mounting sense of urgency. This was no longer just about her wedding. It transcended into a shared legacy, a communal embrace that celebrated love amidst loss. But just as she started to discern her feelings, Sarah's face darkened. What if this is just the tip of the iceberg? She asked, her tone forbidding. Is there more to this story than we know? A chill ran down Jessica's spine, the hushed atmosphere once again thick with uncertainty. What other truths loomed in the shadows waiting to be revealed? The question hung in the air, a haunting echo that lingered long after the words were spoken. Jessica's mind raced, the implications of Sarah's words swirling like fog. She turned to her mother, seeking reassurance found only in her unwavering gaze. Do you think there's more? She asked quietly, the tremor in her voice betraying her fear. Their mother sighed, her expression softening. I really don't know. All we have is this letter. But I promise you we'll find out together if that's what you want. Sarah folded her arms, her body language an armor of defiance. What if this donation is tied to something darker? What if we're being manipulated by their grief? Jessica felt a pang in her chest at the thought. They want us to have happiness, not guilt. But it's confusing. It becomes so much more than just a wedding now. The silence that followed weighed heavier than before, pressing in on them. The walls, once mere boundaries, now felt like witnesses to a complex emotional battle. Jessica's mind spun as memories flashed, moments spent imagining her dream wedding. The laughter, the joy. But now the shadows of loss crept in, twisting her visions into something fragile and fraught with tension. Maybe we should reach out to them, she suggested, her voice steadier now. Ask them more about their story. Maybe it will help us understand this gift better. Sarah shook her head vehemently. What if they don't even want to talk to us? What if digging deeper leads to pain they don't want to revisit? There was a fire in her sister's eyes, protective and fierce. Their mother interjected gently. Exploring their story could honor their daughter's memory. If they are willing to share, it might allow you both to celebrate your love without the burden of unease. Jessica felt torn. The prospect of connecting with this couple was both terrifying and compelling. It could lead to healing, or it could shatter the fragile peace they were trying to establish. Mom, I want to honor them more than myself. But can we really do that without knowing what they went through? I think so, their mother replied thoughtfully. Love flows in unexpected ways. But you two need to decide what feels right for you. A long silence ensued, filled with unspoken words and tangled emotions. Finally, Sarah sighed, her shoulders slumping slightly. Okay, let us find out who they are. We owe it to ourselves to know. Jessica nodded, relief flooding through her. Let us do it together. We'll navigate this as a family. With newfound determination, they all felt a flicker of hope rising like sunlight breaking through clouds. It was small, just a spark, but it was enough to ignite a path forward. As they started discussing how to reach out, a question echoed in the back of Jessica's mind. Would they discover a connection that would bind their families? Or would the search unearth painful truths better left hidden? That night, as she lay in bed, the flickering light of uncertainty danced in her mind. How could they risk opening those doors? And what might await them on the other side? But deep down, she sensed whatever lay ahead was part of something bigger, a journey revealing the power and complexities of love and loss. And still, another question lingered: what heartache might they face to embrace this new destiny? The morning came slowly, the sunlight filtering through Jessica's curtains, casting streaks of gold across her room. She lay still, staring at the ceiling, the unease from last night still clinging to her. Today felt significant, a turning point. Jessica sat up, brushing her hair out of her face, her thoughts still a jumble. Sarah was surely awake by now, her usual early bird energy unmistakable. The sisters had agreed to connect with the family behind the donation that had unexpectedly altered the course of their lives. But the thought still filled Jessica with a mix of dread and excitement. When she joined Sarah in the living room, her sister was pacing, a phone in hand, her eyebrows drawn together in concentration. "I've found their contact information," Sarah said, her voice trembling slightly. I don't know if I can do this." Jessica watched her sister, feeling the echoes of anxiety bouncing between them. "We can do it together," she said, stepping forward. "Let us call them. No matter what happens, we have each other." Sarah nodded, biting her lip as she pressed the button to dial. The phone rang, each sound an echo of their heartbeat, amplified by the silence of the room. When a voice finally answered, it felt like the world shifted on its axis. "Hello?" came a soft voice on the other end. Jessica felt her stomach knot. Hi. Is this the Wilson family?" Sarah managed to stammer out. "Yes, this is Rebecca. How can I help you?" "Hi Rebecca, I'm Sarah and this is my sister Jessica." Her voice quivered. "We were the recipients of your daughter's wedding donation." There was a brief pause laden with heavy tension. Jessica could almost hear the wheels turning in Rebecca's mind, trying to connect the dots. "We were hoping to learn more about your family," Jessica jumped in, her voice steadier now. "We just want to understand more about the story behind your generosity." Rebecca sighed, and for a moment Jessica feared she had pushed too hard too soon. "I wasn't sure anyone would ever reach out." Rebecca's voice faded, as if she were drifting back to a distant memory. "But it's nice to hear from you." It's a bittersweet feeling being reminded of her. The gentle way Rebecca spoke, despite the shadow of her grief, brought a wave of compassion flooding through Jessica. "We want to honor your daughter's memory," she shared softly, her own heart aching. "We think about her every day now. It feels like she's part of this journey with us. More silence hung between them, heavier yet somehow comforting. Thank you for saying that, Rebecca finally replied, her voice more composed. For us, this was a way to keep her memory alive. To help someone else experience love, something she cherished deeply. Jessica's heart swelled with a mix of admiration and sorrow. It was true. This wasn't just a donation, they were now intertwined in something much deeper. A connection that radiated across sorrow and joy. As they talked, Sarah started jotting down notes, her initial apprehension ebbing away. Jessica could see her sister's fierce determination shift into something softer, a desire to understand and embrace the tragedy that led to such a selfless act. Could we meet in person? Jessica asked suddenly, the words tumbling out before she could think. We'd love to hear about her, to celebrate her life. There was a pause and Jessica held her breath. I think that would be wonderful, Rebecca finally responded, the warmth in her voice palpable. It would mean a lot to us. After they hung up, the room buzzed with a charged energy. The unknown was now tangible. A bridge over the chasm that had previously separated their lives from the Wilsons. Sarah turned to Jessica, a glow of determination shining in her eyes. We're doing this. We're really going to meet them. Jessica couldn't help but smile, feeling hope rise anew, fragile yet potent. Yes, we are. But as she glanced out the window, the fear settled in again. What would this meeting reveal? Would it deepen their shared bond or pierce their hearts even more? The uncertainty lingered, echoing gently in her chest. Like a ticking clock. One thing was for sure. As they ventured into this new chapter, a powerful truth awaited them, and it would change everything. The days leading up to the meeting were a whirlwind. Jessica and Sarah shifted between excitement and trepidation. They spent evenings together talking about everything and nothing, but deep down, they both felt the weight of what was to come. On the morning of the meeting, Jessica woke up early, her heart racing like a runaway train. She glanced at the clock, a few hours left before they would meet the Wilson family. The sun shone brightly, but the warmth didn't quite reach her nerves. Are you ready? Sarah's voice broke the silence, appearing in the doorway, her face a mixture of determination and anxiety. I think so, Jessica replied slowly, trying to suppress the knots in her stomach. I mean, how do you prepare for something like this? Sarah chuckled nervously. I guess we just be ourselves. They've already seen us at our worst. Now we get to show them the flip side. Yeah, the flip side, Jessica echoed, forcing a smile. They dressed carefully, each pick of their wardrobe a silent nod to the significance of their meeting. Jessica chose a simple blue dress that reminded her of summer skies, while Sarah opted for a floral top that embodied hope. As they drove to the cafe where they would meet Rebecca and her family, the atmosphere in the car was electric. Each mile brought a mix of anticipation and hesitation. Jessica glanced sideways at Sarah, whose fingers drummed nervously against her thigh. Do you think they'll be angry? Sarah broke the silence, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know, Jessica admitted, gripping the steering wheel tighter. But they might just see how much we want to honor their daughter. I hope they can see that we're thankful. When they arrived, the quaint little cafe buzzed with life. Aromas of fresh coffee and pastries filled the air, making Jessica's mouth water. But her stomach curled with apprehension. The sisters spotted a long table in the corner, already set with mugs and steaming drinks. There they are, Sarah said, her voice a mixture of excitement and nerves. Rebecca sat across from two teenagers, one with a head full of curls and the other scanning their surroundings with a calm demeanor that reminded Jessica of their own youthful curiosity. Jessica felt her pulse quicken as they approached. Hi, Sarah greeted, her grin bright but slightly shaky. Rebecca stood, her face transforming into a warm smile that crinkled her eyes. So wonderful to finally meet you both, she said, enveloping them in a gentle hug. Jessica felt the warmth of Rebecca's embrace wash over her. It was as though a weight lifted. This strange connection to their generous donor felt more human now. As they settled down at the table, Sarah began to speak. We've wanted to hear about your daughter, to really understand who she was. Rebecca's expression shifted, sadness flickering across her features. She was a joy, she said softly, glancing at the teenagers who nodded in agreement. She loved people, making them smile. As stories unfolded, laughter shared and tears quietly shed, the layers of their hearts began to peel away. They talked about the wedding, the moments of joy infused with pain, and the way Jessica and Sarah felt her presence, guiding them. But then as the conversation flowed, Jessica felt a lump in her throat. What was her name? She asked, the question spiraling out before she could prepare herself for the answer. Rebecca looked down for a moment, her voice trembling as she said, her name was Lily. Lily. The name hung in the air, transforming the past into something personal. It felt like a bridge connecting two worlds, the sisters and the Wilson family, as they shared memories. Sarah reached over to take Jessica's hand, squeezing it gently. This gesture of solidarity propelled them into an emotional crescendo, overwhelming yet uplifting. But just when it felt like a beautiful tapestry was being woven, the barista called out for Rebecca's children, pulling their attention momentarily away from the conversation. Jessica saw a flicker of uncertainty in Rebecca's eyes. What if they can't handle everything? Rebecca's voice was low, filled with present anxiety. Jessica held her breath, the weight of unasked questions hanging heavy. The door to deeper understanding was ajar. Would they be able to step through it together? Or would the past cast a long shadow? And as Sarah glanced at Jessica, they both knew there was more to uncover, a truth awaiting them just beneath the surface. One that could bind their hearts or challenge everything they thought they knew. Maybe it's not just about remembering her, Jessica said softly, her voice trembling with possibility. Maybe it's about discovering what we've all been carrying inside. The air was thick with tension, waiting for the next words to change everything again. What would the lingering truths reveal? Would they embrace what was to come? The silence that wrapped around the table felt heavy, as if the shared weight of loss and love mingled in the air. Jessica looked into Rebecca's eyes, searching for a hint of connection, something that would allow them to navigate the conversation that felt like it might tip into deeper waters. Lily. Rebecca whispered her daughter's name again, almost like a prayer. She loved to dance. Whenever a song played, she would be the first to pull her friends onto the floor. The mention of dance struck a chord in Jessica's heart. She recalled her own wedding, that magical moment when the first dance began. It was filled with joy, yet tinged with bittersweet memories of those they had lost. She sounds amazing, Sarah said, her voice gently encouraging. Do you have a favorite memory of her dancing? Rebecca's eyes sparkled momentarily, drawing the table back into light. Oh, I do. The last summer we had with her, we had this big family barbecue. She played her favorite song and went wild, spinning and laughing. We all joined in, even her grandparents trying to keep up with her youthful rhythm. It was a beautiful mess. Jessica felt the lump in her throat deepen, emotions surging. Thanks for sharing that, she said, her voice soft but determined. It must be hard to talk about her like this. It is, Rebecca admitted, her voice quavering. But it also feels good, doesn't it? To remember her joy, her light. Sarah nodded. Definitely. I think it helps keep her spirit alive in a way. The table fell silent again. Everyone lost in thought. Jessica took a deep breath, sensing an opportunity. This was the time to share what their journey meant, to stand in that space between grief and gratitude. Lily was generous not just with her organs but with her life, Jessica began, feeling the weight of the words as they slid into the air. We wouldn't be here today if it weren't for her. You gave us a second chance. Suddenly, the joyful chatter around them faded, leaving a stark contrast to the raw emotion spilling from Jessica's heart. The barista bustled past, causing Rebecca's gaze to shift momentarily. Jessica's words lingered, heavy and profound. And we're so grateful, Sarah added, her voice shaking slightly. We just want you to know we're not taking that lightly. Lily's presence has influenced every moment we've shared since then. Rebecca's eyes glistened, the remnants of joy shadowed by grief. Thank you for honoring her, she said softly. Sometimes it feels like she's lost to the world, but hearing you both talk about her, it reminds me she is still very much alive. Jessica leaned in, her heart racing. We actually started planning a little something. We want to celebrate her life. We want to put together an event, something big, meaningful just for her. The thought of bringing Lily's spirit back in such a vibrant way ignited a flicker of hope. A celebration not just of memories but also of the lives affected by her gift. Rebecca's eyes widened as understanding settled on her face. You would do that? Yes, Sarah interjected excitedly. We want it to be a day filled with laughter and joy, just like Lily would want. Tension melted into a fragile bond, and the three women began to envision how the celebration could unfold: a dance party in her memory, a gathering of family and friends, a way to allow love to pour over grief. As they exchanged ideas, Jessica felt lightness dance in her chest. A revelation dawned as they began to laugh and share stories of what the celebration could look like. Yet inside, a nagging thought wrestled for space. Would this truly help heal the open wounds? Rebecca's face glowed with possibility but then faltered. What if we can't make it feel right? What if nobody wants to come? Please don't doubt it. Jessica leaned forward, embracing the moment. This isn't just about us. It's about honoring who she was, a light that deserves to shine. But even as the words flowed from her lips, doubt clung tightly in Jessica's mind. Is it even possible to capture Lily's essence in a single day? The idea sparked their conversation into a brainstorm, discussing music, decorations, and how to best tell Lily's story. Yet through it all, Jessica didn't quite know how to tie together the complexity of emotions that sprawled like a tangled vine between joy and sorrow. That moment, something shifted in Jessica's chest, a mix of determination and fear. They were on the brink of something profound. But could they truly bring it all together in a way that felt right? The air felt charged with potential, and just as Sarah began sketching ideas on a napkin, another thought stirred in Jessica's heart. What if they also opened themselves up to others who lost loved ones? Should they reach out, extend that moment of shared grace? She hesitated, glancing around the table. The laughter and excitement faded to an anxious silence, waiting for a decision. What if they invited others to share their grief and stories? What if this celebration became more than a tribute to Lily, but a gathering of connects and healing? Maybe we could invite others? Jessica murmured, unsure yet hopeful as the sisters exchanged glances. A new reality hung over them like a question mark, ready to shift the course of their journey yet again. The day of the celebration dawned bright and full of promise. Jessica awoke with a flutter of excitement and nerves dancing in her stomach. This wasn't just another party. It was a deeply significant event, infused with love, grief, and hope. As she moved around her house, she prepared herself not just for a day of celebration, but for an opportunity to weave together the emotions they had all confronted over these past weeks. Those feelings of connection with Rebecca and her family churned beautifully in her heart. They were no longer just strangers. They were allies in something bigger, something that felt alive with meaning. Are you ready? Sarah called from the living room, her voice laced with that familiar blend of enthusiasm and anxiety. Jessica took a deep breath and stepped into the space where their dreams were about to take shape. I am, she said, her heart racing with anticipation. Together they drove to the park, a spacious grassy oasis where families gathered, laughter swirling in the air like a tempting aroma. The sight of it filled Jessica with a mix of nostalgia and hope. As they approached, they were greeted by the Wilson family, already setting up tables adorned with vibrant flowers, all reminiscent of her idea for decorations. Wow, everything looks beautiful, Jessica exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. Rebecca's face lit up, and the tension that had once been interwoven in their relationship dissipated like morning fog. Everything was inspired by Lily, Rebecca said, her voice warm and filled with a tight emotion. She would have loved this. The reminders of Lily surrounded them, a giant canvas hung prominently displaying her laughter, photographs capturing her radiant spirit, the happy moments that showcased her love for dance. She lived on in these memories, and as Jessica walked through them with Sarah at her side, she could almost hear the soft melodies of celebration whispering in the background. At that moment, the crowd began to swell, other families arriving, some facing their own losses with quiet grace. Jessica and Sarah exchanged glances, a realization blooming between them. This was not just Lily's tribute. It was a community coming together to acknowledge their shared pain. And in the midst of it, hope flickered like the sunlight. With a deep inhalation, Rebecca stepped up to the microphone. Thank you all for being here today to honor my daughter Lily. She taught us the value of love, laughter, and connection, and today we celebrate all of that with you. Jessica's heart soared. The words cascaded like music, weaving through the crowd, pulling everyone in with threads of weighty emotion. As more people spoke about their experiences, Jessica felt the weight of loss transform, like clouds parting to reveal a bright sun. Then Sarah took her turn at the microphone, her voice steady but warm. We just want to express our deepest gratitude for everyone's support. Lily's story will remain with us. It's a reminder that even in the face of sorrow, love endures and thrives. The buzz of voices rose and fell, laughter woven through the tears, and Jessica joined in with her own story, sharing how they were forever touched by Lily's generous spirit. Her words carved out spaces filled with warmth and connection, shifting grief into something transformative as the sun dipped lower. The moment of the first dance approached. Whispers of anticipation flitted through the crowd. Jessica took a stance in the center, heart racing, as she extended her hand to Rebecca. "Shall we celebrate?" Together they stepped into the spotlight, the music swelling like a tide, lifting spirits as others joined in, celebrating both the joy of life and the sorrow of loss in one fluid motion as they swayed. Jessica felt a warmth envelop her, the community surrounding her like an embrace. It became clear this was more than just a wedding celebration. It was a gathering marked by shared experiences, a collective tapestry of resilience. Laughter mingled with whispers of memories, joy intertwined with the bittersweet pang of loss. As the music pulsed through them, the realization dawned upon everyone: the time spent honoring the past inspired a bright future, bound by love. This day, this celebration of Lily was not the end of their story, but merely a profound beginning. The wounds that once felt jagged began to stitch together with golden threads of love and understanding. And as the last notes of the music echoed into the evening, Jessica felt whole, wrapped in the warm embrace of family, friends, and a community that had rallied to remind them all of life's beauty amid heartache. This bond they forged today would last a lifetime. As the sun slipped below the horizon, it painted the world in soft hues of orange and purple, a final burst of hope gently guiding them into tomorrow. And now, dear friends, this is the moment you cannot miss. You need to subscribe now to our channel to dive into more inspiring stories that transform lives. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment below with your feelings and insights on how love and community can heal wounds. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation and feel the power of connection and love. Don't wait not even one more second to spread this message. Together, we can create waves of hope that ripple far beyond our own stories.